My 29 male, wife, says she, 29 female, wants a divorce. We've been together for over 8 years. We've been dating for 4 years and were married in October. She claims she is unhappy and does not want to have children. She doesn't want a family, despite what she's been telling me for years. She wasn't into it when we first began dating, but as we got older, she would frequently remark about how thrilled she was to establish a family with me. She claims that my family, particularly my father, has never really cared for her. She isn't entirely incorrect in this. My father is a little old school and the fact that she wears sleeves has irritated him for a long time. But we've been together for so long that time has a way of changing these things. They get along well today and have never had any major disagreements. His attitude shifted when we chose to marry, and it became evident that we would be together for the long term. She claims she has pushed me to alter who I am in order for me to be with her. It's difficult for me to put into words precisely what she means. We both evolved so much in the last decade, and 22-29 is a whole different existence. Of course, we both changed. It's what I call maturing. I can only think of little details, and she is quite controlling in the kitchen, so I don't cook as much as I used to. She only does it because she's a tidy freak, and I evidently don't satisfy her standards, haha. Similarly, I was born in the country and was often barefoot in and out of the home all the time, but she likes everything in the house to be just so. I guess you could say I have a bit of a hippie soul and she doesn't. I used to dislike that, but now I enjoy having our tidy house, and it's no difficulty for me to appreciate that for her sense. Even though we have different home standards, I can respect the work she puts in to keep things that way. She claims she has me whipped into shape, but that is not how I want to live. She claims that because of who she is, she dulls my radiance. It's really difficult to hear that. She is presently jobless. She quit her work during the epidemic in order to supplement her income. She has applied to a lot of various places now that that is finished, but she refuses to go back to her former work and rather to collect unemployment until she finds something she enjoys. That one is a little tricky for me. She has earned more than I have for months doing nothing, and although I understood and even supported it at first, the fact that she was unwilling to hustle and even work part-time while searching for jobs irritated me. Missouri is now open with limited limitations, and I have not missed a single day of work throughout this outbreak. I told her as much and also informed her what I expected of her as my wife. I expected her to work at least until we had children, and seeing her so unconcerned about it disappointed me. She has never contributed to a savings account. We have separate checking accounts as well as a joint savings account. She has nearly never added to it, and despite earning more than me and being off work for many months, she has not contributed to our savings. She has paid off a few $1,000 bill, which is fantastic, but given how much she makes, she has basically squandered the money. I just wasn't expecting it. I got home from work, had a shower, and she summoned me into my room, saying she wasn't pleased and that she wanted it to stop. She said that she was no longer physically longing for me, despite the fact that she loved me. Obviously, this one did a number on my self-esteem. I work out on a daily basis, and although I'm not the fittest I've ever been, I used to be overweight, and I've prioritized my health and bodily fitness over the past decade. I assume the gap was created by my playing too many video games. We get out and watch movies or binge-watch series, but we also respect each other's space throughout the week, and after a hard day of work and training, I've certainly slumped down at my computer to game with pals more times than I probably should have. She claims that geeky things like that don't bother her at all, and it's the stuff I like, so I shouldn't feel obligated to adjust anything for her. She claims it's more complicated than that. I adored her and was overjoyed with our life together. Knowing she wasn't as heartbreaking, I feel responsible for her happiness, and as if I've let her down by not doing my bit to emotionally connect. But we often make jokes and laugh. We are true buddies. We were planned a vacation together soon and had an appointment with our bank this week to discuss first-time home buyer financing. I also believe it might have been a spark. She claims she wants a family and a country home, and even though she said she did, now that we are making those steps, she is having cold feet and says she doesn't. I'm not sure what counsel to provide since I've never been in this situation before. It seems quite genuine, and she appears to be really determined. My self-esteem has been shattered, and I feel as though I have failed my marriage. I've always tried to put her first and to adore her. Our life was frequent and excellent despite the fact that it was completely unexpected. She appeared to care about us. Story 2. Is my marriage over? I, 30 male, am cheating on my wife, 28 female of 3 years, she had an affair 2 years ago. My closest buddy persuaded me to go online and ask this question to an unbiased audience, so here we go. I'm a shambles right now. I can't eat, sleep, focus, or do anything else. I suffered a panic episode last week and have no idea what to do now or in the future. During the first year of our marriage, after my wife had an affair, I tried all I could to save our marriage from falling apart. I'd forgiven her, or so I believed, and assumed she'd made a mistake. I had also just lost my job, and my sister was going through a divorce, so I urgently wanted everything in my life to remain the same. I'd wanted to marry since I was a child. I'd always been known as a romantic, and I believed I'd met the love of my life, so when we married, I never expected my life to take the turn it did when she cheated, and it still does today. Cut to 2 years later, and I've become more resentful of her, more upset with her over trivialities, and can't help but feel imprisoned in my marriage at times. She gets enraged at me for no apparent reason and criticizes me for everything I have one day, then tells me how much she loves and supports me the next. I don't entirely trust her, and I'm angry that she's been able to influence me in ways I won't get into now, but I'm even more angry with myself for allowing her to. And then April, not her actual name, a colleague and close friend, had something happen to her. My wife has always been envious of her because of how well we get along and how much we share, and because April is clever, gorgeous, cool, and accomplished. April was there for me when my wife strayed, but our relationship was always proper until approximately 5 months ago, when we were chatting on a break at work outdoors and I kissed her. It only took 3 weeks for it to become into a full-fledged affair. My closest buddy, the only one who knows about this, and the one who suggested me to post my experience here, thinks I'm passively. He's a psychology major, killing my marriage because I can't face the truth that it's already finished, and I don't have the courage to ask for a divorce openly. He might be correct. I've been feeling like my marriage isn't working for a time now, but I'm not sure whether I want it to end. Here's the thing. I've done certain things in the affair that I'm not sure I'll be able to undo, things my buddy believes are a means for me to ensure my marriage won't survive. I've cheated in our bed, told the other lady I love her, confided in her on a deep personal level, and we have a closeness that my wife and I don't. And I think about her all the time, hoping I could be with her rather than my wife. I've always believed that emotional affairs are worse than physical ones. I go between feeling terrible for my wife for what I'm doing to her and feeling immense resentment and hate towards her for the state of our relationship. And yeah, I understand that I'm accountable for my own acts, but that's how I feel. I don't believe I would have cheated if she hadn't already crossed that line. I'm afraid my wife will find out, and sometimes I simply want to tell her everything since I'm a terrible liar anyhow. Sometimes I wonder whether I should simply never tell her, break up with April, and go back to the way things were. But I can't bear the notion of losing April and returning to a life of frustration, boredom, and hatred without her. I don't want to give up the optimism, excitement, and sense of belonging she's given me, and the notion of hurting her crushes my heart. I'm not sure why I'm revealing this to complete strangers. I suppose it would be beneficial to hear some unbiased viewpoints. I realize the majority of you will probably just call me in, but if you must, could you just include anything useful or relatable? I'm so bewildered and confused that I can't think or see well right now. The lady I believed was the love of my life is someone I purposefully injured, and the life I thought I want is a filthy fraud. Maybe I simply need someone to tell me that my marriage is doomed, that it's worthless to try any longer. What am I fighting for if I don't strive to rescue it? Could our marriage continue if I choose not to inform my wife, or would the truth ultimately come out? And if and when it does come out, would anybody really forgive me for what I've done?